How's it going, everyone? It is me, the Lone Vault Wanderer, and welcome back to another Fallout 76 video. So it seems like every week there is a new Reddit post about something that we all missed in Fallout 76, and that's happened again thanks to the user Shiltsy2G, which noticed something very peculiar in one of the recent gameplay footages that was uploaded by Bethesda. Now again, we've already seen this footage at E3, but thanks to the higher quality of these new videos, Shiltsy was able to notice something that we honestly all simply missed before. Now, first and foremost, this Reddit post is linked in the description below. It's important we give credit for these things, and I'm actually going to read Shiltsy's Reddit post verbatim, just so you all know what he actually said. Specifically, he says the following. In the video, Introduction to Multiplayer Gameplay video, you can see at 1:45 some barricades near a crashed vertibird, which appear to have a Brotherhood of Steel logo on them. And yes, if we stop at this exact point in the trailer, Shiltsy is right. Zooming in, we can see the Brotherhood of Steel logo. There is absolutely no question about this. So naturally, this begs the question, why is the Brotherhood of Steel logo appearing all the way in West Virginia at this point in the Fallout timeline? And also as well, does this mean that the Brotherhood of Steel in some sort of capacity is returning in Fallout 76? Now, going back to the setting of Fallout 76, it's in the year 2102, right? So merely 25 years after the Great War. So in terms of the lore of Fallout, does it actually make sense for the Brotherhood of Steel logo to appear in the game, and let alone for the faction itself to appear in the game after such a short amount of time post-Great War? And also bearing in mind the fact that, again, we're not going to encounter any other human NPCs in the game. So technically, there's no possible way for the Brotherhood of Steel to appear in this game, because if they were going to appear, they'd be NPCs, and we're not going to encounter them. The only humans, and I keep saying this because it affects everything in the game, but the only other humans that we encounter in the game are other real people that also exited Vault 76. So how would this actually be possible? And if that's the case, why on earth is the Brotherhood of Steel logo appearing in West Virginia on this barricade? So to figure out what is actually going on here, we're going to have to deep dive into the lore of Fallout as always, and again we're going to be using both the fandom and Gamepedia Fallout wikis, both of which are also linked in the description below for credit. So, what do we actually know about how the Brotherhood of Steel was formed? Well, we know that the BOS formed from a team within the pre-war US Army. The team, led by Colonel Robert Spindle and captained by Roger Maxson, was tasked with protecting a West-Tech facility in California in the year 2076. West-Tech was contracted by the US government to conduct several research projects, one of which took place at the facility in California. In 2077, the US military outfit and all of West-Tech's scientists were moved to the Mariposa military base, also located in California. But just like with the experimentations conducted by Vault-Tec for the US government, West-Tech's research was far from ethical. West-Tech was actually exposing unconsenting subjects to the Forced Evolutionary Virus, or FEV, the exact same substance that is responsible for the creation of supermutants. But the US military team, captained by Maxson, had no idea about these experiments until October 10, 2077. The team was absolutely distraught and horrified at their discovery, which even caused Colonel Spindle to commit suicide. This left Maxson in charge, who ended up interrogating the scientists of West-Tech to find out what the hell was going on. Once they revealed all the truth, Maxson and his team believed that justice had to be served, so they executed most of the West-Tech staff and scientists. Then on October 20, Maxson announced via the US Army radio that he and his team were abandoning the US Army because of the US government's involvement in these horrific experiments, but no one ever responded. Then, as we all know, the Great War occurred 3 days after, on October 23rd, 2077, but thankfully Maxson's team and all of the families who were stationed there managed to survive due to Mariposa's protective capabilities. Thereafter, on October 27, Maxson led his team from the Mariposa military base, right into the wasteland that was now the post-war US. Their goal? To reach the Lost Hills government bunker, located in Southern California. They arrived there in November 2077. Then, sometime after this date, Roger Maxson declared this bunker to be the headquarters of his newly formed faction, the Brotherhood of Steel, which was led by him as the High Elder. So from the lore, we know that the Brotherhood of Steel was founded at least from the date November 2077. So with Fallout 76 being set in the year 2102, it's not out of the realms of possibility that the Brotherhood, and therefore their logo, somehow made their way to West Virginia. However, what does not really help with this theory is a location issue. The Lost Hills government bunker is located in Southern California, whereas Fallout 76 is literally located right on the other side of the USA, on the East Coast in West Virginia. Quite frankly, within such a short amount of time after their founding, there might be very little chance that any segment of the BOS found their way to West Virginia, let alone finding the time to set up their own barriers with their logo on it. And this is all really complicated thanks to the complete lack of lore or history for the Brotherhood of Steel between the years of 2077 and 2134. Even the fandom Wikipedia states that little is known about the early years of the Brotherhood of Steel, and both the fandom and Gamepedia wikis simply have information about the formation of the Brotherhood of Steel in 2077, and then the next events that are listed are in the year 2134, so nothing really in between. It's a complete mystery. An earlier working theory that I had to combat this was that, as Maxon and his team were making their way to the Lost Hills bunker, some soldiers actually abandoned the larger group and took their weapons and power armor with them. Specifically, the group that broke away robbed the others of some of their weapons and they went south. They were never found or heard of again. So I thought that, well, why wouldn't it be possible for this group to have been the one that made their way to West Virginia and set up a Brotherhood of Steel group there? Well, as I mentioned, the lore implies that the Brotherhood of Steel was formed after they arrived at the Lost Hills bunker, rather than beforehand, as they were busy trying to escape and fight off marauders that were attacking the group during their exodus to Lost Hills. Also, given the conflict, why would the splinter group even want to call themselves a Brotherhood of Steel after that date, assuming they even survived? And to follow on from that, why would they have wanted to use the same logo? Really, all of the difficulties here come back to the Brotherhood of Steel logo. When was it created and how did it appear all the way in West Virginia? Well, as expected, the lore of Fallout doesn't actually confirm the specific date when the Brotherhood of Steel logo or insignia was actually concepted and created. One possible theory is that the logo was simply adopted by Maxon and his team, as that was a logo that was already being used in the US military, which could then explain why the logo would appear on a barrier in West Virginia. If it was simply a generic insignia that was used widely in the military, including for Maxon's team, then it might make sense that Maxon simply decided that it would be a good fit for the Brotherhood of Steel. It would also save them from having to create a logo of their own. Now, the only reason why I don't agree with this theory is that the Brotherhood of Steel logo has a very specific meaning for the faction. The original Fallout game stated that the gears represent their engineering knowledge, the sword is their will to defend themselves, and the wings are the uplifting hope. Then the Fallout wiki interpreted this as meaning the following. In the Brotherhood of Steel symbol, the gears represent their engineering knowledge, the sword is their will to defend themselves, the wings represent the uplifting hope, that the acquisition of lost technology represents for mankind's salvation following the devastation of the Great War, and the circle represents the fraternal unity that makes the organization a true brotherhood. This interpretation implies that the logo was concepted after the Great War, not before. More so, if the Brotherhood of Steel logo has this very distinct meaning, especially including the bit about them having engineering knowledge, then would it really have been a generic insignia used in the US Army generally? I honestly don't think so. So the next theory is that, is it somehow possible, between the years 2077, which is the founding year of the Brotherhood, and the date of Fallout 76, 2102, that the Brotherhood of Steel sent a recon team of some sort to venture across the country to West Virginia? This isn't necessarily impossible. They literally did the exact same thing with the East Coast Brotherhood of Steel, who were sent from the Lost Hills bunker in Southern California to Washington DC in the year 2254. So why couldn't they have done this before then? After all, the lore of the Brotherhood of Steel is effectively empty in this period, so Bethesda could technically write whatever they wanted. And looking back on that footage from Fallout 76, there was a crashed vertibird right next to the barricade that had the Brotherhood of Steel logo. So did the Brotherhood use a vertibird to fly across to West Virginia at that time? It could be a possibility. But if you think these theories are too far-fetched, here is one final answer. Bethesda is simply reusing assets from Fallout 4, and they accidentally included the Brotherhood of Steel logo on this military barricade, and they never really thought about lore consistency with doing so, or maybe it was just a complete oversight and no one even thought of that. To be honest, this is also possible. I think it's just as plausible as all the other theories that are brought out, perhaps more so, but let me know what you think in the comments below. I would love to hear your thoughts, everyone, and until next time, this has been the Lone Vault Wanderer. Please take care of yourself, and would you kindly keep fighting the good fight.